Psych!
Fucking Craig, right? This guy.
Let's
try it again.
Live stream.
Oh, man. What an anticlimax. Alright, well, I will just use the audio from the Twitch today, because obviously Craig is having issues today. Welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable. It is 1:08 p.m. Saturday, August 15th, in this very tumultuous year of 2020. So glad we can be recording the events of it.
Now recording.
Well, look who decided to show up. It's the laziest robot in Discord, Craig. No, thank you for coming, Craig. I don't trust that your audio is going to definitely work today because you have been really finicky, but here you are. Hopefully we won't be using the Discord backup audio, but yes, we will. Anyway, Craig, I love you. You're a great robot. You are the AI that proves we need a basic income. Welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable. Faye Doney is here yesterday. She had a very important conversation with a producer. She paid money to have a consultation, and I would like to know how it went. How did it go, Faye?
It was fantastic. Sorry, it's like too hot in this room. And okay, so anyway, what ended up happening was I had I want to say 6 or 7 people donate to like the $250 it required to even get an hour phone call with this guy. Okay, that's where it starts. They have. This is Rich Riel's office space that, like, now that I'm his employee, I can work here. Anyway, so, like, that was its own little challenge, because it took a while to scrape up that much money, right? But anyway, so I heard about, here, let's just start with the whole story about this whole thing. How did this come about, even? I hope you don't mind. So, like, there was, this group I'm part of, like, called Highly Inappropriate Puppets, and I was telling them about, like, wanting to make a documentary, and they're, like, my artsy friends, so of course they've already figured out some of the media, but, like, with puppets, you know? Anyway, so it ended up turning out to, like, I have a chat group, and I was like, hey guys, how you been? Because, like, we were doing, like, improv puppetry every weekend, just, like, whatever, adult humor. But, like, that ended pretty quickly. And I was like, hey, how you guys doing? Because everyone's stressed out. And they're like, we're good. And I was like, man, I need help with this documentary. And they're like, hey, reach out to this guy. I heard he, like, helps with consultations. I was like, all right, cool. So I contacted him, and it was a quick response, Kirk Thatcher. And, you know, I like, that's such a beautiful call. Let me just say that. It was a beautiful call. I was at the park because, you know, I'm fully nomadic and I forgot that I had access to an office space. But, okay. So, can I just talk about this day, though? This was yesterday, okay? So, I'm sitting in my truck, like, for the podcast, right? And we were in the middle of it. My camera is off, my sound is off. This man walks up to me out of nowhere and hands me $145 while I'm sitting in the cab of my truck. I was like, thank you. He didn't say anything, and he just wandered off. He, like, works for public or city works or something like that. And just, like, waves by. Like, okay, I went silent on the show for, like, 20 minutes, I swear. Like, anyway, I didn't know how to process that. But then, okay. So after the podcast, I'm, like, getting ready for this call, and I've been nervous all day, right? But I, like, set out my blanket. I'm hoping there's reception, and because, you know, it's a game with reception. With everything else closed without Wi-Fi, like, I have to get creative and just trust. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, and I got all my binders laid out. I got a lot of binders, okay? Like, I've done a lot of research. And I do a video call with him, and, like, as I'm explaining, like, all the different aspects of this documentary, he's like, this sounds like you've got a lot of quality and quantity. He didn't say it like that, but essentially that's what he said. I was like, okay. He's like, you need to break this out into more than just one documentary. It needs to be like a docu-series. Okay, I was like, Okay, that sounds good. But like he also told me that you know, he's gonna like reach out to his network and see if anybody can help me. So hell yeah, I'm excited about that. And then like I explained the documentary how I kind of was like thinking about starting it, and he kind of told me I should scrap a lot of it, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, like, okay. But essentially, like, the important part is that I want to compare us to the Tigers in Tiger King. Okay, because we really do resemble that, like, where the owners are squabbling and paying money, like, just uh, back and forth on this stuff that doesn't matter because it's not taking care of the Tigers, right? Like, so, yeah. And then I just want to help draw that conclusion because I love tigers. I love them. Since I was a little girl, I wanted to pet one. And I made it happen when I was 18 for a senior project. They're like, hey, who wants to pet a tiger? When I was like 5 or 6 years old on stage with a tiger. And I was like, me? They're like, well, you can't pet it because it's a dangerous animal and it'll eat you. And I was like, oh. So, like, senior project rolls around. I'm like, I want to be a tiger trainer, right? And they're like, I guess get some mentor hours, write a paper, and give a presentation. I was like, yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I am live recording. Just heads up. I can switch desks though.
Well, okay. Yeah, I'd like to find out what happened to my computer.
Rich is here.
I'm here. Yes, to the teeny thousands and millions. We're 7 days away, actually 8 days away, from the opening comments at the Hogwash convention, the only political convention being held this year in America.
Yeah. So, hi, Rich.
Hogwash.
Hogwash party. But yeah, okay. So I get on this phone call, and I am like, he's telling me how much money I have to raise. Like minimally, it sounds like a lot. Like $30,000 if I truly wanted to like get some quality stuff, and I'm like, that's okay. I mean, it took a lot for like $250. Okay, but that's okay. Whatever. And then but upwards to like $200,000. I was like, okay. But he gave me advice on where I could like look into finding that money and like how to crowdsource better. And let's see. I very dehydrated. Yeah, let's see. What else happened? Okay, I ended up being attacked by a bee a couple times too. So like we had a good laugh about that. A branch almost fell on me during it too. Like that was crazy. It wasn't just a small branch. I mean, it was a decent size from afar up. It would have hurt me. Yeah, for sure. I could scream for that too. Man, I was being attacked by everything. But yeah, so
Faye, what was Kirk's response to you? What did you get out of the meeting?
Okay, yeah, okay. So I ended up getting an hour and a half like advice on like how to move forward. He told me how I should formulate my pitch. It needs to be like 4 to 5 pages. And like he was just enjoying the conversation so much. He like gave me a half hour free because he was just like, I like what you're about. Also, I have this friend in the Yang Gang in LA. Man, have you heard of her? You guys need to talk. And so he's like emailing me like and her in a chat group together. So I have like another connection with somebody in LA who actually knows some people, right? And I'm like, okay. And I might join in a parade in LA for later. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where I'm at. I don't know where I am these days. But yeah, so additionally, he has offered his help pro bono to look at some of the stuff that I put together so that like, yeah, this will get, this will pass or this is good, and maybe, and or like, I believe that if I present him with stuff, he might be able to help redirect me. I also know more of a style of the episodes where it should be. So he thinks I should probably have a celebrity host. Okay. He actually like named like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Is this really your vision anymore?
Well, actually, yes, because the way I broke it down with all these different movements. He's like, these need to be stretched out. Otherwise, if it's like 90-minute documentary, you only got about like 9 minutes per thing based on how many things you're talking about. I was like, ooh, you're right. But I really, if I break it down, I will be able to do a better explanation of the neurology behind what's happened to our country. So I can actually teach people about what happens. Because
Oh, sorry. I would like to let you continue before I forget. I would like to, if we, first, like, my initial reaction is I hate the idea of having a celebrity host because I feel like it is antithetical to Yang Gang culture, and especially the culture of this anti-credentialist show, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's not exactly the same as credentialism, but it's a stone's throw away.
He mentioned...
So anyway, but I don't want to fight it. I want to go with what this guy has given us, right? I want to work with what we have. Here's the celebrity host, the only one I'm going to be happy with, Dave Chappelle. Okay, go on.
What?
You know what? I bet we could do it.
He's Yang Gang. You got to talk to him. We got to get Chappelle.
I mean, I think we could do it. I'm down. His humor's a little different for me, but like, that's okay. I think if maybe I make sure his wording doesn't maybe I should trust his judgment. I don't know. Right? Like, I like people being their authentic selves. So that would have a lot of faith, right? I mean, but I have power of editing, so there's that too. But yeah, so like, he talked about that, and let's see. I took a lot of notes. I should look at them. Okay.
So my favorite celebrity voice, of course, is David Attenborough, who narrated.
Sorry, it muted exactly the whole name. Who was it?
David Attenborough, who narrates all the wildlife and Planet Earth type things.
Classic.
I really enjoyed him.
Amazing.
He could be narrating the wild Doney in the wild, No, but he actually did a little thing for the Lincoln Project, and he narrated this something about Trump in the wild, so that's pretty funny.
Faye, we're gonna get you a meeting with Dave Chappelle to pitch this. We're gonna get him on the phone with you. How do you feel? What do you think? Will you talk to him?
Yeah.
Okay. If we can arrange that, we're gonna see what we can do.
Okay, done. Whatever. He's just another human being.
He's the guy we need for this job.
Right. I actually went to the Dave Chappelle show where Andrew Yang popped up. That was fun. I got tickets, but I was super high up, but I was supposed to sit somewhere else. Scott Santens was there. Oh, what an incredible time. And then as I'm waiting to go in with the tickets, and I'm trying to figure out where my ticket is, right? There was a guy standing next to me, and I'm standing next to Scott Santens at this point. But this guy ends up getting someone to hand him. It was I'm going to give you $1,000 a month, right there. Well, I'm just he got the money in his account. And he's crying, and people are hugging. It was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. It was quite the momentous thing right before entering the stadium or whatever it's called. But yeah, but Yang was so sick. I mean, I wouldn't even put it past him if he already had the corona. I mean, he was sick. But a lot of people were sick, and it was Iowa. And it was cold. So
Yang was
there's
sick?
also, yeah, Yang was really sick.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Get better, boss. Please. We're sending
Not
you
now.
our Peter Pan Tinkerbell pair. Oh, okay. Jeez.
Not now.
Well, he's better now. Well, he had the corona already.
Back
Okay.
in Iowa. During,
All right. So he's invincible now. He has the antibodies. Okay. I'm gonna go back to thinking that.
Yeah. He's okay now. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't talk to him. But I need him on my show. 100%. I need Yang to be on the documentary. He is core. So is Scott Santens.
Well, you get Chappelle. Guarantee Yang will be on the documentary.
Oh, for sure, right? I'm not even worried. That's the thing. I mean, I have some people I would love to work on with this project, like Selena Gomez. The work that she did with her show, 13 Reasons Why, is she saw it happening, and it explained it in a way, because the final season has school rioting with protesting, and it looks exactly what's happening on the streets right now, right? But it was with a school setting. And so, spoiler, I'm sorry. But, like, a lot of people, it's hard for them to watch because it is a trigger warning, right? So, like, that's okay. I get it. Like, it's hard to watch. But it's such a, like, explanation of the mental health crisis that's been happening, too. And it's just so well put together. And I'm just like, what's next? You know, because, like, that's technically, she's at, like, the point where you need to find answers. And I'm like, oh, my God, she could totally visualize what needs to happen if I worked with her. It would be incredible. Just saying. There's a wish to the world. So, yeah, okay, so here, I have, like, multiple pages of notes from yesterday. Let's see, gotta write a manifesto. Let's see. The episodes could be 18 to 38 minutes, you know, but, I mean, some episodes of documentaries are, like, a little longer. Let's see. I could go through Amazon and HBO as well, if I don't get on Netflix. I mean, I'm aiming for Netflix, though. They have some powerful shows that I would like to find those people who made those, like, network with them and get them on my show. Like, the people who helped find the dirty money in our country, anyone who worked on the Jeffrey Epstein thing, but, like, actually, I might have something lined up. I'm just saying. Okay. So, like, he gave me all this advice, and I'm just like, well, I've already found all the key pieces. I just haven't put them together, right? And so that's what this call is about. I'm just like, I found all the puzzle pieces, but it's in a box. But can you, like, give me an image to work from so it's a little easier? And so, like, that's all it was. So definitely, 200,000 to $1 million. I'm sorry, but he said a lot of that cost is just, like, housing people and feeding them, and I'm like, I just spend that much money
For a documentary? I guess you're housing and feeding your crew on location. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's working on an industry standard, you know, he's just like, that's his world, so if you can penetrate it, you can get into that world, that's normal, I guess, so just work, yeah.
But I'm frugal. We can use that money better, and that money can go into the hands of the people, okay? I don't care. Like,
Well, yeah, you're frugal, but I mean, like, if he's suggesting that, it means that reasonably that money is available through typical channels. So, right? Yeah, so you can do more than you need with that. So good. Yes, of course you're frugal. Yeah, you're from a different world.
Yeah, so film crew in the travel. So he says I need at least a 5-person team. So, like, if I'm going to go visit people. But now that we have Corona and there's Zoom calls, you know, like, I mean, it'd be really cool if I could show up to certain people's houses and actually, or business or whatever, and interview them. But, like, I don't know what that looks like during Corona, and I want to be, like, safe, you know. Let's see. So I need mics and a boom, a camera, and a couple assistants, like lighting, you know. But that would be the film crew. And if I do travel, I could hire locally to save money on bringing a crew with me. But I would need to keep the quality similar. Makes sense. Let's see. Director of photography. Let's see.
Do you need to basically have a finished product for Netflix to buy it, or for some organization to buy it?
Because I'm literally a no-name, that's my big problem, right? There's nobody to vouch for me. I have 556 Twitter followers. Okay, I'm popular. I recognize this, and I'm okay with this. I'm not trying to be, look at me. But if my story can help, then sure, I'll talk about myself. And, you know, everybody likes an ego stroking a little bit, okay? Like, I'm not going to lie. Of course it'll feel good. But, like, it'll be, I like to be proof of concept, so it actually could teach people. And I live a very unique life, so it could actually be very empowering for people who live, like, unique lives as well, to be like, oh, if she could do it, I could do it. And also, look how people treat her. So maybe people, like, I'm just trying to set an example with my life. That's literally what it boils down to.
Well, I'm not questioning your you know, commitment and all of that, or your ability to get things
Well,
done.
you need to be the host, right?
I'm actually,
because, like, you know, in my mind, you are the host, but I guess you are not the host. You're like a producer, director, mastermind behind the camera type here, right? And a celebrity, though, man, that is just not with my sensibilities personally. Unless it's Dave Chappelle, gotta be Chappelle.
If it's Dave Chappelle, like, you know, I'm whatever. I'll take suggestions. I don't care. Like,
No, you're right. You are right.
Mine.
You should be open. You have the right attitude.
This is the world's project, okay? I am merely just a tool to share it, okay? I just know how to talk to people. This didn't start for me, but we together as a crew, like, it's fine. I did the investigation, and you guys have been providing the information, and the tools and resources. So, like, it ain't me. Anyway.
So my question is actually towards how things get done, right? So as I understood it, is that you have to have a finished product to sell. That it's
you have to have what? Sorry, you
so you have to have a finished product that to show and to sell, right? Do you have to have all the like how long is this thing going to be? Is it going to be one movie, or what is it going to be? Yeah.
Okay, so actually, he did talk about this. Thank you for asking these questions, by the way. Like, all you're doing is helping me recall the right information. So your questioning is very helpful to me. Okay, so essentially, I need to get at least 5. He thinks about 10 episodes would be good. I need at least 5 people that have notoriety to, especially if it's in the Yang Gang, like Andrew Yang, to do a short little clip promoting the documentary, right? And like, you know what, this is what I want. I'm down for it. Just like, those politicians have these commercials that are, like, I approve this message. Okay, but like for documentary, that's actually like, this is what we need.
Some celebrity endorsements for the documentary, right? Okay.
Essentially. Get at least 5. And then, let's see. At least 5 people committed. Maybe even like with a little note, like this, I approve this message. I don't know. Not literally, but you know what I'm getting at. So I could use Indiegogo, and I could use to raise money, by the way. And let's see. But I would have to like pre-sell the series, like, hey, this is like what I got. Get like a little proof concept so people can understand what they're stepping into, to help, since I am such a no-name. That's fine. It's fine. I need at least 1 to 2 paragraphs per episode to explain like what I want to do. So we would have to write out the episodes. And I already have like ideas what I want to talk about, like already listed out. Like, honestly, I could easily do it in 10 episodes, but I mean, it's a lot. Kickstarter's the other one. Let's see. The more people we do bring on, the less control I have over the baby. I understand. It's fine. Again, I want help with this project. I want more input. I might be providing, slightly, like I can provide ideas, but if someone thinks my ideas aren't great, like, I'll weigh the option and decide if I agree with them, and I'll consider that, I don't have to take them up on it, but like, that's teamwork, right? Let's see.
Absolutely. Pushback is vital, and it's key that you can take it.
But like have the layout for them to see. I have an editor who actually has like, he prepped me for this call. Even we like spent hours on like prepping. I was like writing out questions I wanted to ask and everything. I was just like so nervous. Let's see. He's like told me like even the format of reaching out to these people, like, dear so-and-so, I'm a filmmaker and this is the subject, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to interview you. Are you interested? And then I might get their people and maybe I get shrugged off. Who knows? But like, it's kind of like how we reach out to people for this podcast. So I ain't terribly worried. Yeah, the project proposals essentially like need to be like 5 pages. I mean, he called it kind of like a syllabus, which I think is an interesting way to put it. He's like, why don't you reach out to Al Gore or Leonardo DiCaprio? It's like, oh, this is okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe we can like workshop a list of ideas of who should be on the show. I am one person who has witnessed who exists in our world with great ideas, but give suggestions is great. Like, I don't know, do you know somebody kind of thing. Let's see. Uh,
I'm really excited to know you at this stage of your life, Faye.
Thank you. It's a weird phenomenon, but if I can learn it, I can teach it, right?
Yes.
And there's some stuff that's coming up in the works, like behind the scenes of like actual apps that could help people in order to connect people to me and others. Also, like I probably have 100 different ideas that could make money. 100 ideas, solid. I don't have any of the skills, but I did the prep work and I did the layout, right? And they're great things to exist in the world. I struggle, and so like something that is in the works. I think I'm going to be on the mentoring side of it and giving advice.
I'd
So-
like to say hi to Ariel. Welcome back.
Oh, hi guys. Yeah. So I was just testing to see if Craig is happening. Did you
Craig
find
is
out
here.
did you had to put a space in between join when you put the comma?
Oh no, we discovered that we had forgotten to put the colons. They were not semicolons.
Yeah,
But there's a colon
yeah.
in
Oh,
front and
okay.
after. So
Right. Okay.
I don't
cool,
think that's
cool.
even true. I think it just wasn't working at the time, and the colons are fully optional. But anyway.
it works with the colons. That's what I'm saying. So we're hearing how Faye Doney's pitch to Kirk Thatcher turned out, and she's informing us about all the things that she learned, and she's on her way to becoming a great filmmaker.
I am just still larva stage, but I'll become a butterfly one day, or dragonfly. I like dragonflies. I can become one of
It
those.
really is a fascinating report of what happened with this conversation.
I know that this is kind of in a different direction, but did you bond with him over your love of puppets together? Because he is a Muppet maker and director of and writer for Muppet Show and various other things that use Muppets, like George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, right?
Yeah, so it wasn't like too much time even spent on it. It was almost like it had to be a side note because it was like I spent so much money on this conversation, like to expose the different things that I've been working on, like would take a long time to explain. And that's fine. It's just a long list, okay? But like since I was doing the puppets, I had like told him that I found him through my puppet group, and he's like, okay, that makes sense. Like to him, he was like, why did you reach out to me? But yeah, and then I gotta like tell my puppet group that like, hey, guess what? It was a great call. Like I'm so happy I could help facilitate that. I was like, I know. Thank God you existed in my life.
You just never know where the next great thing is going to come from, right? Who would have thought that it was going to be from the puppet group? But there it is.
But you know what the puppet group also did for me? They helped me strategize it prior, because we were going to do highly inappropriate puppets as like a series, right? And so we actually had meetings and strategized how to make that happen, right? But then just less and less people showed up to the thing, and then it was just me and one gal, and like I'm at the beach with my puppet and like yelling at the camera to her puppet on the other side of the screen. Like my arm was so tired that day, but it was fun. But I was like, wait, I should post that. I never posted it. Anyway, yeah, it was a good time though. It was a good time. And, but no, I had no opportunity to talk anything puppets. Cause like when I was on Andrew Yang's campaign trail, I had a puppet I was bombing a ton of people with, right? And I've done like a car parade where I used the puppet to draw attention to my vehicle for UBI. Like, that was a lot of fun, and people like got a good laugh at it,
I need
Marshmallow
to see some of
unicorn.
that. I want to share that with Zephyr, because I'm always saying there's not enough fun stuff for the kids to do on these campaignish trails. I'd love to get more fun things for children to participate in while the parents are getting, political and flexing our political muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the content came out of having a puppet with me on a campaign trail was quite interesting. It was very different because, like, people have different personalities when they play with your puppet, okay? Some make your puppet an old woman smoker, okay? And I'm like, oh, but Marshmallow, in my mind, was innocent, right? I didn't even want to voice Marshmallow because, like, other people were giving it a voice, and I loved it, right? Different personalities all manifesting in one puppet. By the way, was derailed a little bit, not really. So actually, one person had the puppet and used it to interview some random person at a bar, and the guy was, no. The guy at the bar had the puppet, okay? And with the puppet, he was answering an interview question thing as if he was Marshmallow, right? Like, it was beautiful. And this man, like, 100% got in on it, right? But then also, I was at the sorority of Yang house, and I lost my puppet, right? I was stoned, okay? That's what it boils down to. But anyway, I was like, where's Marshmallow? And I spent
That's no excuse, Faye.
I spent a solid half hour looking for my puppet in the sorority of Yang house, right? But this house is beautiful, so it actually kind of turned into this, like, walking tour of this beautiful house that they used for it, except for I can't upload the video, like, because my phone won't let me. And I'm like, oh my god, like, I don't know how to do that. I think it's possible to still get that, like, footage, but I have no talent, right? So I just need to find people. What are you laughing at?
It's a great story. I'm enjoying. I'm just right there with you, imagining these things. It's a joyful experience.
Oh, good. Oh, but it's even better. So I, like, made this, like, paper bag puppet of someone at the thing, and then, like, I got this other random chick who just showed up to the sorority house, and she's voicing Marshmallow, right? And then I have, like, this, or maybe she had the paper bag. Now I'm curious. But that was during the recording while I was looking. Oh, she was playing with the paper bag puppet, and then later got to play with Marshmallow the unicorn because I talked it up. Like, I had just met her, and I was like, yeah, I got Marshmallow. I'm looking for it. Like, she was like, yeah. And then she, like, tells, like, the origin story of Marshmallow, and it's like, I don't know. It was an interesting time, but, like, while I was there,
I love puppets so much.
Right. And, like, I was at Andrew Yang's birthday party, right? But it was like he was giving a speech in Iowa, and I have, like, he's on stage in the distance, and I'm over here making the puppet eat Andrew Yang. I also did it with Joe Biden, actually. I really wanted Joe Biden to play with my puppet, and I was this close to him, but he walked away
Oh, man.
Can you imagine if Joe Biden played with the unicorn puppet?
I still
But I
would
have a selfie. I have a picture with Andrew Yang and my puppet, and, like, Andrew Yang's like, so I had so much fun, but actually someone thought I was being really immature and, like, sending a terrible message to the people, right? But, like, I would stand.
That person is absolutely wrong and should be ignored.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. I showed humanity first. So there was, I haven't talked about my experience on the campaign trail. Oh my god. So, like, there was these long lines of, like, these primaries, and I helped with the caucus too. But, like, there was long lines, and at least in Vegas. Okay, I was in Vegas, and I brought out my puppet, and, like, little children. And my ukulele. I would play my ukulele. I had bubbles. Like, oh my god, it was just a great time for me. Ended up on the cover of, like, Washington Post online. Like, my face was under my Google bar. I was like, that's me. What?
So,
but I'm not mentioned in the article.
I wanted to interject this that I don't know if you're aware of this because you've just joined our nonviolent communications Yang Gang group where we practice, right? And I actually need to do a little more setting up the next meeting now. But did you know that Marshall Rosenberg, who teaches nonviolent communication, does it with a jackal and a giraffe puppet?
Oh,
in his hand.
I've heard of this. I didn't realize that was him.
there's a whole series of videos that he's made, and he's well known for this. That he says, the The jackal language is the one that we often use because we're used to it.
I'm gonna give this to this guy
there's
also.
the giraffe language, right? And that's the nonviolent communication. And I think it's really interesting that he uses this even with adults.
I'm gonna.
And it's very effective, I think.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But you want to hear the cutest part of this whole story? There is a cuter part to this whole story about Marshmallow the unicorn. When I was staying in the women's shelter during one of the worst parts of my life, because I was like tired of being sexually assaulted, essentially, I ended up going into the shelter, and it felt like hell. Okay, and the kids were crying all the time, and the moms were literally yelling at the kids. Okay, it was heartbreaking. It was almost like listening to trauma being encoded into tiny little brains. And I'm like, okay, but sometimes, I would bring in my instruments for the kids to play. And I also wanted to make a sloth puppet from a stuffed animal. And one of the women at the women's shelter actually helped sew it, right? Like the mouth, it didn't work out great, don't get me wrong. Like, it was a learning curve, okay? That's what it boils down to. And but she was helping me. And her daughter and her were at a thrift store. And her daughter found the unicorn puppet. It was like, you need to get this for Faye. And I was like, oh, okay. So the daughter gave me the puppet, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this puppet famous and raise a bunch of money so I can help make fucking improvements to the women's shelter, including lockers so they don't have to carry their shit around. Like, just... I wanted to make improvements, and I even asked the women at the women's shelter what kind of improvements they would like to see on a facility like this. So I have a whole list, guys. But that's why I brought the puppet on the campaign trail, was to get it popular so that I could raise money. And then, like, when the campaign ended, I was like, oh no, what do I do with the unicorn puppet? Now I'm going to be like...
Make it the documentary's mascot, and it should be on the cover art.
Right. I actually started making a storybook that was actually going to tell like a story about Marshmallow and how it it was in this, what was it? It was in like a zoo or something, and it was given freedom seeds, or freedom fruit, aka freedom dividend, aka I got $1,000 out of someone's own pocket, like for 3 installments, to get out of that woman's shelter. Okay. But then I was like, I went to a far off land to find this magician Yang or something. I forget what I said, but like, and he had all these freedom seeds, and the problem was they couldn't grow unless people planted them. They were free. Like this could just exist. And so there was a bunch of like people planting these freedom seeds, and so that one day we could all eat from the freedom fruit, but you got to plant the seed, the idea, and for UBI essentially. I don't know. It was a cute story.
Imagining Dave Chappelle holding this unicorn puppet for the cover art of the documentary, right? Just like stroking it, looking at it, kissing it, maybe giving it a cigarette.
Faye, does anybody in your puppet group actually do shows on a professionally? They do, right? So do they also, are there any who do like these children's programs at libraries? Because there's a whole circuit apparently. You sign up and then you go around the country performing for children at libraries especially during the summer programs. Have you thought about making a puppet show for that, and on the basis of UBI at some point? We could be getting people at that level,
I mean, it's something to consider. I do have a story about a library. So I went to a library with Marshmallow to go see someone talk. Ooh, who was it? They didn't show up though, right? They had some excuse, but they were supposed to be at this library event. And I was like, dang, I showed up and they're not here. And Marshmallow was like all sad, like, what? Oh, and so then, but I was there and I was like, go up to the desk, I was like, so Marshmallow wants to read a book about unicorns. Do you have any books about unicorns? They're like, yeah. And like Marshmallow's freaking out, having a great time. Also recorded this, by the way, but I haven't done anything with my content. I'm not an editor, or at least, actually, no, that's a lie. I don't have the equipment. I don't have the Wi-Fi or the electric outlet or the AC to do any of this. Like, I just,
Faye, that sounds like a house. Are you possibly needing to choose a somewhat less nomadic lifestyle for a minute in order to get this done?
you know, maybe during the summer heat, something like that might be nice. But I mean, I enjoy staying in the tent. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I would like to
I get those things by having a house, which I luckily have, less rent to pay. So because I'm in a rural development housing, and so I can afford some of the other things that I need, like Wi-Fi. Otherwise, there'd be like no money for that after I paid rent.
But you missed this one opportunity. If I pull this off in a tent, it's proof of concept that homeless people can actually pull this shit off too, right? Like, if I can do it, you can do it, because it happened, okay?
All right.
It just means I have to get a little creative, right? No, honestly, I've sunk my life to a certain point that's very difficult to get out of, but it's very, like, on par with other homeless people, okay? Bad credit, they can't get loans, they don't have a house, maybe, like, I have a car, that helps me. And, oh my God, if I could get donated, like, vans, that would be so great, because then I could give them to these people I've met that are, like, I would trust with a van, okay? Like, they're people I actually met.
Did you ever get a chance to watch the little puppet show that Zephyr and I made? It was about 6
I
minutes
did,
long.
actually. That was cute.
I think we need to work out something like this for the kiddies, and then also their parents, because obviously their parents are going to be there watching with them and enjoying it.
So I have this, like, cognitive dissonance about puppets, okay? There's a little issue because, like, it is very geared towards children in a lot of ways. Puppets in but, like, that's why I wanted to say highly inappropriate puppets, so parents would know that this is, like, not for their child, right? So I wanted to be very careful with that. Now, to be honest, okay, so there's some, like, stupid accusations against me and puppets. Like, I wasn't even in the state during the time of the allegations that I used it to. I mean, we can talk if you really truly, but, like, talk to any kid I've been around, talk to their parents, learn about, like, the fact that I talk consistently about consent. I mean, like, theoretically, believe what you want. But I need to be honest about these accusations that are against me. Like, maybe you got turned into the FBI even? I don't know. But if that's true, then they'll find this great content, and good for them for finally, like, going after the good guys so that we can actually, like, get shit done, okay? Like, I think it would be great if they just had all this information and be like, what the hell is going on over here?
Shout out to whatever monitor of Faye is our biggest fan. I'm sure you've enjoyed the body of work we've put you through. So thank you. We appreciate you as a listener. Just want to let you know.
Thank you, investigator. It'd be hilarious that that's the reason our whole country changes. It's like some, like, stupid allegation against me. Like, I mean, like, bring it on, I guess. Like, I'm not worried. I have consistency in my treatment of people and behavior. And again, ask the kids, okay? So just go directly to them. I don't know. Like, people in cancel culture, it's a real thing, okay? And everyone's so paranoid.
So probably most people don't know about what has happened in your life, but it sounds like you had a brush with with being canceled. And
yes. Oh, for sure.
And
for sure. And some higher people
and family and other people who know you from Yang Gang are supporting you.
Yes. There were some people in the Yang Gang that continued the spread of this message without actually even talking to me. There's some note. I don't even know what the note says. I've never seen it. It exists in some people's reality, but I have never, I have no idea. I have no idea. I wasn't there. I was, like, on my friend's couch, like, chilling, and I was like, hey, like, look what just got said about me. And they're like, what? But you're not even there.
Well, I have to say that you're not the only person who's experienced this in this past year, in Yang Gang specifically. Yeah. I don't know about all of the other, political groups. But I do know that within Yang Gang, I've seen it happen several times. you were at least the third or fourth, that I had
Oh,
heard
there's a
about
lot.
personally. And I don't know everybody in Yang Gang. I know a subset, so it's really interesting.
I've actually talked to a few of the people who've been canceled, and there are definitely people who are scamming for sure, like 100%. So like, please like talk about what your experience was, so that we can at least make an informed decision about our interactions with this person. But also talk to these people. If you really truly want to cancel them, like actually like reach out to them and see if it's for real, or if like there's any reason. Like, we should investigate, right? But we just take everybody's word for it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Does anybody cancel the cancelers? Like, seriously, it's like turn back on them, because like if people make those kind of accusations that are false and nothing really happens to them.
I feel like there's a certain kind of personality that is really able to leverage those things, that kind of cancel culture. So you can like cancel them back, but they tend to have a lot of sycophants. I don't know. It seems to be the way.
For sure. And I feel like, our podcast is like this group of just outliers, and, just like, we're like the what do you call them? The black sheep in a lot of ways, but not really. But
Well, many of us are easily canceled. I myself have been, a felon, and one of our, major, celebrities in our Yang Gang, just a normal person who became, a celebrity, is Fred the Felon. And so certainly, there's a lot of things in people's past that make it easy for people to be canceled. But in your case, we are talking about an allegation where people don't even, haven't even investigated the truth, and there's no truth behind it. So, but that's happened to a lot of people. We've had, people running for office who have had, very difficult pasts that don't look good on camera for sure. But they are willing to be brave and come out and do that hard thing of facing whatever their past is, and continuing to try to run for office and make the difference that they want to see in the world. So I want to encourage people to not be afraid of it. If you have the kind of personality that will get you through, go for it anyway. Do what you need to do. Change the world, and don't let this cancel culture stop you.
That was beautifully said, Faye. That was absolutely beautifully said.
Well done.
So with that said, though, that's what happens in politics, right? We are so focused on all the problems that are like, we cancel the person. It's a fallacy. It's a mental fallacy of the brain. So essentially, we like attribute a person's character and their decisions strongly with their belief systems of like, save the planet, go green. Oh, but you did this thing to one person and they got upset one time. We should still save the planet, guys. Like, who cares about their actions? Like, that's a personal choice. You get to limit your interactions with that person based on your, boundaries.
There's also a weird idea that only like perfect, clean people can do good things for you. I mean, in a lot of ways, when you're trying to accomplish something, I'd almost rather have a complete asshole who's able to say get UBI passed or pushed through than a pure person who's just not interested. There's, in some ways, you can't choose your allies. If you want to get anything done, you got to be a bit pragmatic about it. Unless they're like just not trustworthy, period. But that's a different matter.
Well, beyond pragmatism, it's like I feel that in the United States we have a culture that is not grown up. Because grown up, to me, being adult means accepting people as being both good and bad. There's nobody who's just evil. There's nobody who's just good. The bad guys are also parents, and they take care of their children, or they're their children, and they take care of their parents. And I think that I learned that early because I had a childhood where I was molested by somebody who was in a trust position, who was my mom's husband, and I chose to protect him. Now, a lot of people would find that decision to be really wrong, or maybe they would feel like I was, abused and put in that position. And it's true. I mean, that's definitely part of it. But there's also great power in knowing that I have the choice. You know, I could have said, okay, I want you to divorce this person and I want his life to be over. I want to cancel this guy. But I saw that also he was good for my mom in other ways, that she needed him. And so, you know, I chose to protect that situation and to, you know, I made a choice that I think was the right one at the time. And, you know, people might disagree with you, but I think people who have problems, there is no such thing as a person without a problem, right? And if you just cancel them for that, then there'd not be a lot of humans left in the world. You know, there couldn't be a lot of other people. Everybody would be in jail, or, you know, I think beyond
And there's
politics, yeah, like you
there's
can't be a movie
complicated,
maker if you have, you know, if you have certain things in your background. That's not true. You know, you can do one thing very well and be very bad at something else.
What were you saying, Mo?
Oh, there's just all kinds of considerations too. Like even in a situation where, you know, you might have an abusive like parent or step parent, but you're like depending on them to not be homeless. You know, you know what's the right answer there? We don't really have a society that allows you to make that decision cleanly. You know, you're gonna be like, all right, well, the right thing, and now I'm homeless.
money with no strings attached.
Yeah, it's
Which is why we also understand the UBI to be so important. Like, if you have an abusive person in your life, how do you get out from under that situation? You know, maybe I could have made a different choice if we all had universal basic income, and my mom did not depend on her husband, and that was, you know. So there's a lot of things we don't know what people are doing and what reason they're doing it for. And I think if we want to eliminate that danger that people are being held down by finances alone, we have to follow that. We have to find out.
I love the survey that Scott Santons put up. He said that before the pandemic, like 30% of people said they would just want government to leave them alone. Or no, like 60% of people said that, and then next time, like it flipped. It was like 60% of people said they wanted them to help. So then Scott put up UBI is the help and being left alone at the same time.
So, like, but the thing too is like I want to get back to the cancel culture a little bit. I've been canceled many times in my life. And some of it was actually because I dated someone who had gone to jail because they were a registered sex offender. Like, I got canceled for that. And like, I didn't do anything, but because I cared about this individual so much that I wanted to, you know, spend a large portion of my time with them, people didn't trust me and my judgment. I'm like, this happened 15 years ago. 15 years ago. He went to jail. He paid his dues. He got the mental help he needed. And, you know, he's not the same person he was 15 years ago, 1 year ago, 1 month ago. Okay. But we like, what's the point of punishment if you don't believe people can change, right? It's just revenge. That's all it is. And it just builds that need of, oh, yeah, you should get it. And like, so we have these really long, you know, jail times. And maybe some of these people should be in jail for a long time. Or, you know, maybe we can help, like in other countries, I think it's Switzerland, maybe not, where Norway, they have a, like, really low recidivism rate. So less likely to reoffend because they actually get taught lessons. Now, he's not the only sex offender I've met and have cared about romantically. You know, there was this other guy who got caught looking at underage porn. Okay. And he didn't even comprehend how it victimized the children, right? He might even be on the autistic scale, you know, or so he believes. He hasn't been diagnosed, but I mean, like, he's well adjusted if he is. And it was like he got access to real tools to help him recognize where the problem stemmed from and why this action is not healthy. So he learned the why. And then he was able to readjust his life. And he actually used the time while he was in prison to work on his writing and better himself. And, you know, it was like almost an opportunity for him. But that's not how everyone looks at it, right? But, I mean, if there were more systems like that out there, you know, that could really help a lot of people. But if you're just going to shame them...
That's the point of our system, is that we're supposed to be rehabilitating. We're supposed to put people in jail, but they come back into society. They don't stay in jail forever. They don't just die in jail in general. And so if they're going to come back into our culture, then we need into, you know, everyday society. But then we want to label them, and so they can no longer ever be normal again. We can't. So there's a lot of things that it's like working against each other. Which one are you trying to do? Are you trying to put them away and never see them again? Or are you trying to, you know, rehabilitate them and get them to where they can really participate and become healthy people again? And so, I mean, there's some level of truth to the fact that, you know, if you are a pedophile or if you're somebody who's attracted to a certain type, that may not ever go away for you. But I do believe that you can change and you can, you know, you can learn better behavior. And so that's
you got
a real
to
issue.
rewire your brain. You have to rewire your brain, but you have to do it in a setting where you're not like in a vulnerable spot. You need to do it where you have the time and mental resources and bandwidth to actually make this conscious change. Otherwise, they will stay in that mental thing. And when, you know, adrenaline shoots through them, they're going to go on whatever's been wired into their brain. Give them the time to change it. Give them some money so they can change their lives, but give them the tools and resources to do it. You know, don't just like, if it doesn't enter their realm of reality, it'll never change, right? They have to know why.
So there's a couple of things that I think of when we talk about this. One is that, you know, pedophilia or any sort of crime against children or any sort of, you know, sexual sort of criminality becomes something that, you know, people can point to that and say, hey, at least I'm not that. You know, no matter what other bad things you may have done, you may be a murderer and you still think that, hey, at least I'm not that kind of murderer. I'm not one that preys on children. Like, it's the lowest of the low, and so everybody can always, you know, have that type of person that you can say, I can still unload on that person. And it feels like our society always needs something like that. You know, if there's nothing else you can point to and say, I'm better than that, you can at least point to that particular problem.
So I want to talk a little bit about my time being a professional cuddler. Okay, like I did it across the U.S. I cuddled in 11 different states. Sometimes just out of the back of my truck because I am a nomad. But you know, I put myself at high risk. Okay, and it was like scarring. I'm not gonna lie, it really did mess with me. But this is before I went to therapy. Therapy helps, guys. But what happened when I met all these people is I got to see a different side of them. Like, they essentially were the canceled people and or the lonely people, like the software engineers and computer programmers. Like, there was a lot of them. But they didn't even have the appropriate social skills sometimes. A lot of them have mental health issues, right? But they're lonely. But they never got taught boundaries, and people in like different industries are like, we don't even teach it, right? I had to like develop my own like cheat sheet to like, how do I not be assaulted, right? And so I ended up developing a lot of index cards with just little short phrases from my research, you know, from the world. I don't put a reference on all of them, which is terrible for like stupid copyright rules. I don't care, whatever. These things need to exist. They came from the universe. I'm just putting them back in one condensed area, right? But so essentially, I was just doing it for rewiring my own brain. But I encourage more people to just practice, right? Rewire your brain. It takes 21 days to formulate a new habit. I think that's how long it takes to move a neuron, just move into a different direction. Up to 41 days for it to like really cement. But I mean, you can learn something new within just, minutes, but like master something takes a little longer.
I think that's when when people really want to change, when they really want to make a change and they're very committed to it. A lot of people spend their whole lives thinking that they want to make a change, something simple like quitting cigarettes or something, and they just can't seem to do it. And there must be additional, things that they might need. For example, the universal basic income.
It's also how we talk to ourselves, though. Because of the way the brain wires itself, and because of certain areas that activate while we're trying to learn something new, we have to word it right. If you say, I don't want to be fat, the word that bounces around your head is fat, right? You're focusing on fat. And so you're like, fat, fat, fat. And so then maybe like you shame yourself because of that, or blah, 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 and you have coping mechanisms. Or maybe if you reword it, I want to be healthy, 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 healthy. What are the keywords bouncing around in your head? Because that really matters. We drop words that are no, don't, shouldn't, all the other words. It's whatever the keywords are is what we keep in our brain. And so, if we like focus on those words, we'll switch our direction of thought.
Well, sure. That reminds me of the race car driver, philosophy of life, where if you just stare at your obstacles, the obstacles are probably it's going to be the direction that you take, whereas you want to be looking for
those things any energy.
Right?
Don't give your fears any energy. They become dragons, You just got to slay the dragons before they become too big, because quickly they'll become bigger than you.
So there's a part in the Matrix, the original Matrix, where he's seeing the Oracle, I think it was. And she's like, watch out for that table or whatever. And he's like, huh? And bumps the table and drops the vase or something like that. I could be wrong. It's been a little bit. But she says something like, did I cause that or did you cause that? Right? Because she put the thought in his head. And so he was no longer paying attention and being like mindful. So he's looking around for it, and it causes a change in his momentum and actually like caused the thing. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy to some capacity. And it's really actually how our brain works. Like what happened in that film was essentially, I would love to translate the Matrix for you guys and the neurology. It is fucking brilliant, and that's why it was so impactful. Like, it's guys, and it's totally about the transition of like the people who made it were brothers, and eventually they evolved into sisters because that whole movie, and they confirmed it, is about conflict of being transgender. Right? I just saw an article. But I came up with that conclusion before I even knew they even transitioned. I was like, this is like about transgender. And like nobody would have thought that. Like, why did I come up with that? I don't know. Research. But
so
I can explain it.
Sorry.
What'd you say?
I may have to take off soon, and I'm sorry to leave in the middle. But I wanted to also bring back one more thing, which is that when they talk about the pedophilia or something like that, people think of that as being so awful that it's much worse than any other thing that could ever happen. But when I went to jail, I noticed that of all the different people who were there incarcerated, I did not feel that any of them had done something so terrible in their life as our government is doing on a daily basis, right? With the kind of neglect that we show our own citizens, with the kind of war that we're making, the number of people dying from things that happen from neglect or other things like that, and also in my own life, my stepfather could be maybe considered a pedophiliac or something like that. But what he did, I saw him trying to stop himself. If I asked him to stop, he would stop. And that was the weird thing for me. It was like, okay, well, he seems to be having a problem of self-control. But when you remind him that there's something wrong here, he would stop and he would say, okay, I need to not do that, right? And so to me, I feel like the impact that he had on me as a person is not commensurate with the kind of punishment we would want to put on him. And whereas, the worst things that happened to me are being separated from my children. And that was done to me, in a sense, by the legal system. And so, I feel like, people are sometimes too harsh on individuals versus, what we need to be changing structurally for the government, for everybody.
But it's also like this learned aversion, right? If you find yourself in a situation and he was violating your boundaries and you voiced your boundaries, he now learned an aversion what not to do, right? And you had to teach him where your invisible boundaries were, because for some reason he didn't recognize that, or maybe his impulses.
As the adult, I would say that is his job and not my job as a kid. And certainly I wouldn't, say he didn't do anything
100%.
wrong or that he didn't have any impact or, there were not very important consequences. But I just feel that, I think that the kind of evil that we can do as a nation when we don't have good laws is just so much worse than, than what is happening when one person cannot control themselves or cannot, rein themselves in or understand or be empathic to what other people, need around them. That it's not, it's not close, but people are much more focused on the individual who is a bad person or does something wrong, because I don't know, this must be a human thing, we don't see the systemic persecution of people as being as important or worse. It really is much worse because it impacts so many more people all at once.
It's a much bigger consent violation. You violated my consent. I did not want you to steal all my money. I did not want you to put me through this pain that you did. And, I don't want my kids taken away from me. I don't want to be canceled for this. And you've created this environment where people are now just justified for shaming you publicly instead of looking at the problem of, hey, our government is failing us.
Right. So, so I would like to, but see, overhauling the family courts or, changing the way that our government sees, deals with money in issuing a UBI, things like that just are such big problems we cannot hardly put our minds around it. And we don't feel like we have any power. So instead we just engage in the monkey brain behaviors, basically take it out on somebody and that it creates a lot more, it's like the evil just gets perpetuated,
So I really want to talk about these kind of things in my documentary, and I want to be able to have teams of people to help me illustrate it in a way that resonates with more people, but even doing this podcast now and making this transparent and being this vulnerable, oh my God. You guys, that's scary to admit these things that people think about ourselves, right? It's not my perspective, it's your perspective, and it's very harmful. And, but this is my perspective, and take it at whatever you feel in your guts, right?
Did you get a chance to talk out everything you'd like to say today? Because I probably have to leave now, and so I noticed that Ariel had to hop off. Should we go ahead and close out together now?
We could wrap up.
Okay.
All right. So let's wrap up. Great show, guys. Really great. Really heavy. Just good.
Go ahead. Sorry, keep interrupting.
I got nothing. I'm just. I got nothing, Faye. What are you saying?
And so I just want to do another call out. If anything that I talked about in this episode today, in regards to this documentary, seems like something that is exciting for you to learn, come on board, man. Reach out to me if you want funding. I'm working on a Patreon page today for myself. It's long overdue. So at this point, so I mean it exists, but I don't even know the name of it at this point. So like that's how I'm at right now. But today I'll post it on Twitter. My Twitter is @tisdoney, TISDONEY. Reach out to me, say hi. Like I'm fine. Like just don't be creepy. Please. But I haven't really had any problems. I've had some really incredible people reach out to me already, tell me about their projects. Others that want to help me financially. So like it helps. Everything helps. And please just trust me to spend the money how it needs to be. I try to be transparent. Like that's all I got. But yes, thank you everybody who has already helps me, and thank you to the future people. I cannot do any of this without you guys.
I want to thank the listeners, people who listen to our podcast and show up and help us, get stuff done. I mean, our political allies, the Yang Gang, we're very happy to be part of the gang and to be moving things forward together.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, participating. I love you all. We'll be back with more basic income advocacy on the Yang Gang Roundtable tomorrow, Sunday, August 16th, 2020 from 4 to 6. My name is Shale Riley. I am at SHAELRILEY on Twitter. And take care of yourselves. We'll see you again soon.
Faye, do you want to give yours?
Oh, sure. I'm at Palestine Math on Twitter, and I just want people to remember, if they can remember anything, is that when the government fails to provide Medicare for all or some sort of health care for universal health, that one decision alone impacts so many more people than any individual could in our country. And so legislation is very important, and don't think that we can't change the world together, because we can.
Thank you, Faye.
That's beautiful.
That was great. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.